fixing to start kicking ass, just like it said at the beginning of the program.
Man of the hour, tower of talent, too sweet to be sour.
Sending your ass on the jabroni jet to the other side of the territory, brother.
The Alabama Hammer.
Nightmares are the best part of my day.
The goods from the wood.
Hot damn.
Welcome to the Goods from the Woods. My name is Rivers Langley.
I'm Pat Riley.
I'm just looking at man of the hour, tower power, too sweet to be sour.
And today we're celebrating the 4th of July. With
And more importantly,
Pat,
this guy,
Dr. Pat's
birthday boy.
Birthday boy over here.
Yeah.
Pat shares a birthday with America.
Absolutely, yeah, July 4th. So,
Whereas Rivers only shares one with France, and that's not as good.
I don't know. It's looking better and better all the time.
I think Pat might actually outlast America.
Yeah, probably so. Yeah. But
will I outlast Geraldo? That's the question.
They say roaches can last pretty long.
Yeah.
He couldn't even find
Psycho Sid.
Al Capone's vault.
Yeah.
That crap.
To help us celebrate America's birthday and talk about
The purest form of American combat.
American Gladiators, our friend, please welcome back to the show.
Wade Boggs.
So wait, is Margot Adams with you today?
I miss Mr. Perfect.
Yeah.
It's Jeff May. It's me, Jeff May. It's me.
Yeah. Back, so we had Jeff on for an episode called Fight Night where we talked about boxing and the fact that he was there for the glorious birth of not just The Undertaker, but also the Gobbledygooker.
I was. It's funny. I feel like you know, when all that shit happens, all the crazy stuff, and there's just him in the background of all the photos.
Right.
It's like going to be me. Like all these seminal events and like crazy things you've heard about. It's like, yeah, Jeff May was right there for that.
Yeah.
The Forrest Gump of seminal events.
But also another tie-in to a past episode. A few months ago, we had our Tournament of Patties, where we tried to figure out which lady with the name Patty was the best, and we determined that it was none other than Lady Marmalade herself, Patti LaBelle. In talking about that, we mentioned that Patti LaBelle has her own line of pies.
Great pies.
And Mr. Goodnight took a trip down to Walmart and brought back a bounty of Patti LaBelle pie.
We got a sweet potato pie.
Yeah.
Right here from Patti LaBelle.
Sweet potato pie.
Voulez-vous fouché to eat this pie right now because it is good stuff.
It's great. I broke edge for it. I broke edge for that pie. I'm on a no sugar and bread diet.
Oh my God.
Unless it comes from Patti LaBelle.
Unless it's Patti LaBelle, then you can't say no. God, this episode is going to be interesting.
I'm already feeling myself getting fatter.
We've filled you with sugar, and now we're shaking you up like a bottle of Coke, and then we're going to take the top off and see what happens.
Throw some Mentos in and see what happens.
Yeah, that's right. But
it's so funny when you asked me to do this. You sent me the message, and I was like, "Yes,
I want to talk about it. I absolutely want to talk about it." Although I did want to share with our listeners just a brief story of something that happened to me back in October. I was in Dublin, Ireland, and I was walking down by St. Stephen's Green, and there was a Burger King there. And if you have heard the first Jeff May episode of The Goods from the Woods, we talked about your love of Burger King, and specifically your love of the Angry Whopper, which, like the McRib, is seasonal. It just kind of comes and goes with the wind.
I'm a fanatic of the Angry Whopper.
Yeah, and so I'm walking through Dublin, and I see on the Burger King, that was the time in Ireland that they had decided to unleash the Angry Whopper upon the populace of Dublin. I immediately took a picture of it, sent it to you, and then as soon as I did realize that it was approximately 4:30 a.m. in Los Angeles.
I don't think people from Ireland could handle the Angry Whopper. There's too much spice.
Yeah.
I've eaten a lot of Irish food in my days.
I kind
very
of thought
bland.
the same thing.
Maybe they wash it down with a Guinness or something like that.
I'm going to say the opposite, though. The Irish love being angry.
That's true. Good point.
Anything
irrationally
that shows up.
angry, yeah.
And if a food can give them a reason, hell yeah.
If there was a drunken Angry Whopper, it'd really clean up in Ireland.
All their burgers, though, are just fries. That's how it works. It's just a big fry.
It's like the McDonald's hash brown.
Yeah, it's a latke on
different shaped potatoes.
Yeah.
potato bread.
But for this episode, so Pat floated the idea.
Well, we had a listener that floated the idea.
Oh, is that right?
Mr. Nelson,
Yeah.
father of Paolo Nelson,
That's
floated
right.
it to us that we should do this topic. And I saw this and I was like, game on, because I have a pretty encyclopedic knowledge
I'm with you.
of the early stages of this show.
Well, I did, before we actually start, I did want to just mention I just wanted to read our exchange because it's perfect. So, we had, we were talking about, it's Pat's birthday. We should do something that's right up Pat's alley, that being American Gladiators. And we were trying to think who would be the perfect guest for this. And I started thinking about it. And then just for funsies, I texted Jeff and I just said, hey, did you ever watch American Gladiators? And Jeff then sent me back these pictures with his permission. I'll pop these up on Twitter of what the hell is this?
Those are the pugil sticks.
Pugil sticks.
It's the pugil stick
from Joust.
Okay, but those are from the
reboot.
reboot.
Yeah.
The company that I used to work for did that show. And I was in the warehouse in North Hollywood.
Yeah.
The same warehouse where I got my autographed Pros vs. Joe's season 3 framed poster. But they let me take that. They had those pugil sticks, which I very much played with.
Of
and
course.
all the costumes.
The spandex?
Yes.
Whoa.
Do y'all have some Gladiators gear?
They had it there.
Well, do you have your own suit?
No,
So did you?
I would wear it every day.
Did you try? Did you attempt to acquire the pugil sticks?
I did ask, and they wouldn't let me take them. It was too soon, 'cause it was 2012. So it was too soon.
So they're like,
that
maybe
they
we'll-
weren't like, the show's not getting back.
Yeah.
But you didn't know that.
Because the reboot was.
Come on, dude. I need some jobs, man.
You want to live forever, brother?
Layla Ali's like, I'm pregnant. I don't need this.
Yeah. So the reboot, weirdly, I didn't even know this, ran for 2 seasons.
Great. It was a great reboot.
2008. Yeah, it started in 2008 and went off the air in
But-
2010.
That's not canon.
Well, it's tennis ball canon.
Let's.
That was pretty
I'm
good,
gonna
Robert.
go.
Don't assault me with your puns, okay?
I don't think I'm going to top that this episode.
I
but-
kind of like that for a pun, though. I have to admit, Pat.
I didn't get any credit for my pun, but that's okay. That's all right.
But the point is, Jeff's a fanatic about it. It was the funniest, just instantaneous text I ever got back. Like, hey, do you like American Gladiators? And then there was just a real prop from the show in my text box, and I was like, all right, I think we found the guy.
Yeah.
I didn't realize you were an American Gladiator.
If it's like,
I was Malibu, brother.
like if it's
Oh,
weird,
Malibu, dude.
we'll get to how Malibu
we'll
had
get to Malibu.
several guest spots on Married with Children, by the way. But
And
Beyond-
Elvira, Mistress of the Dark.
he was a decent actor. He was the guy. He was a terrible gladiator.
Yeah.
We'll get into
Oh,
that
the
later.
worst.
He
Oh, yeah.
was the worst gladiator.
Yeah.
If you had him in the Human Cannonball, you won, no matter
Yeah.
what.
Was he just using gladiators, you think, to get into a
Wait.
career in show business?
So let's, before we start the discussion of American Gladiators, we have to start any American Gladiator discussion, like any American Gladiator event, starts properly, and it's this. Contenders, right? Gladiators, right? Yeah. Larry Thompson, everybody. The only man that can officially call American Gladiators properly, because you remember the first American Gladiators referee?
I mean, I don't remember it that specifically.
So the original referees wore executioner hoods.
It was a guy in an
That's right.
executioner
because it was Roman. It was like a Roman thing.
Right.
and it was
Oh, gladiators.
Oh, it was the first few episodes of American Gladiators when it started in 1989 might quite possibly be the most bootleg show in the history
Right, yeah.
of television. Like they made this show for like $100. Like it was.
Well, how much did tennis balls cost?
Most of the budget was wrapped up in tennis balls.
What really shifted was when they shifted towards like the Tron room. Although their assault was awesome.
Yeah.
Their assault was cool because it was like you were protected by sticks. But then it was season 2 or season 3.
Season 2
they
was
shifted their arena to look sort of like Tron. And that was where it was fantastic.
Well, we should just start out with
Let's go.
a little bit of facts here. So, American Gladiators began in September of 1989 and ran until May of 1996. 7 seasons in syndication, 139 episodes on the original run. And when it started, they actually had open auditions to get people in. And the idea of the show is you have these, super buff, people that are that have cool names.
So this was the era in the 1980s, and I think pro wrestling started this template, that bodybuilders were considered to be super athletes.
Right.
That if you could lift weights,
you were the best,
And
in
you
all
had,
the
like,
sports.
If you had a great looking body, then you must be a great athlete.
super athlete. And
The Ultimate Warrior, for example.
That's where Malibu was really the problem.
yeah.
Because Nitro was a great athlete.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
Gemini
was
played
he was for football.
Yeah,
He was a
UCLA.
football
He was a
player,
UCLA football player. My favorite gladiator of all time
Was Gemini?
Yeah,
I like
'Cause he
Nitro
was permanent-
hot-headed.
See, Gemini had two sides. there was.
That's right.
There was.
You don't want to get on Gemini's bad side.
Like Gemini's, but Gemini's bad side, like normal side, was like angry. Gemini's other side was pissed. You know?
I remember there was one where he took somebody out playing Powerball.
Billy Worth.
Billy Worth
from the show Charmed,
who later suplexed a dude out of the Conquer circle.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, was amazing to watch.
Yeah.
But Billy Worth bopped Gemini in the head with the ball after getting taken out and got plastered.
Oh yeah. So Powerball was basically the game. This was the one that you could best replicate in your living room because it was basically putting colored basketballs into garbage cans.
Essentially, like playground ball.
Except the garbage cans were like Weeble Wobbles, like they were weighted at the bottom so they would move around.
And there were 5. There were 4 on the outskirts and 1 in the middle, and then 3 gladiators.
Yeah.
And Billy Worth was in the original was in the movie Lost Boys, so he still had his Lost Boys hair.
And we got to tell people because we haven't even. There are people listening certainly that have no clue what the fuck we're talking about when we say gladiators.
Well, those people are ignorant.
So.
By definition.
Or they're just, or they didn't exist at the time.
American Gladiators was a show where they would take a bunch of criminals and slaves and have them fight to the death or execute political prisoners and animals.
Or fight pumas from the wilds of Africa. No, it was, but they would put normal people, quote unquote, up against super athletes that had cool names, and I just wanted to read this because
bodybuilders.
Fucking hilarious. So during the open auditions for the show, they auditioned an estimated 25,000 people.
Jesus.
Yeah. No, but get this: the reason they had to do so many is that it is estimated 90% of that 25,000 that tried out for the show couldn't make it past the pull-up section. And the requirement was for men had to do 25 pull-ups in 30 seconds. Women had to do 8 pull-ups in 30 seconds.
Is that possible?
Really hard.
Yeah, and that they could.
Well, you want to be a gladiator and you're going against Gemini and Nitro and Zap.
Was that for gladiator competition or was that to be a contestant?
For the schlubs they put up against the gladiators.
I remember that they showed that. They would do that where they would like, this is how they're doing it.
They do the segments where they show the auditions, And so it was, while it was billed as being like everyday Joe Schmoes versus these elite athletes. I mean, I'm not an athlete at all, but even if I was, that would probably fuck me right there.
And the pull-up test is biased towards short people, right? So you couldn't have anybody that's taller than the gladiators.
Clever.
Although there was that giant guy like the Magnus, it was like a towards the end. There was like a giant dude that was so massive. And the Conquer Circle, he just whipped the guy out.
A contestant or a gladiator?
He was a guy from like Finland. He looked like he might as well have been from like a strongman competition.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
Like a Magnus Magnuson kind of that kind of a name.
I got a question for y'all about the whole American Gladiators concept.
Yeah,
sure. Like the show itself is almost sort of like cross between Double Dare, which was big at the time, and pro wrestling. But was there some particular show that American Gladiators was modeled on? What were they thinking when they came up with it?
There was some local show.
Yeah.
So like 82.
Right, yeah. So from what I read, basically, there was a local show that
Philly or something
that was on, I believe, in Philly, where it was basically like the Everyman Olympics.
Okay.
And so the idea
he also had World Toughest Bouncer too, which
we discussed on the Mr. T episode. Like there were a lot of these kind of like local sort of competitions, and basically somebody who ran one of the local competitions pitched it
named John Ferreira.
Yeah, pitched it to who was an Elvis impersonator, by the way, in his spare time. Pitch the show.
I'm gonna tell you, I got this great show, and it's American Gladiators. And,
I'm gonna bring you some real high quality entertainment.
a little bit karate.
But he pitched it to Samuel Goldwyn Company, and they're the ones who developed the show. And funny thing about the show, by the way, filmed at Universal Studios Hollywood in the first season, and in exchange for, and if you watch the first couple of episodes, most of these are on YouTube, or at least you can find long clips. There's lots and lots of advertisements for Universal Studios that are kind of peppered in throughout the thing.
Like Nickelodeon used to do
exactly, that. And I think they had the same deal as Nickelodeon, but the thing is, like, the first season of the show, no one knew what the fuck American Gladiators were, and so the people who were producing the show, the agreement with Universal was, you guys run some promotions on the show, we'll fill the audience with people. And so the first season of American Gladiators, the audience is mostly comprised of tourists that are just at Universal, and they would stop the tram and be like, hey, come look, we're filming a real life TV show. So they wouldn't actually lock these people down to be a studio audience. It was literally just people passing by on their way to the ET ride.
And if I want to add something too, they couldn't fill it at certain points, so they actually had wooden backdrops of people.
Exactly what I was about to say.
That they painted. You know?
The reason for that is
why did WCW never use that?
It wasn't a dedicated studio audience, right? They couldn't keep them there like a regular studio audience, so people would just come and go, and the producers would just run in with plywood cutouts and just fill the seats with plywood, and then they would dim the lights accordingly. So the first season of that show, lots of the audience was plywood.
That owns so hard.
It's hilarious.
It's amazing.
It's like that old World War II city that they tricked the Germans with.
Yeah, General Patton trying to trick them into thinking they were going to land at Calais.
It's funny because American Gladiators, like the fact that it was such a success after that, shows how awesome of an idea it is.
Yeah.
If you put regular people up against athletes in any way, I am all about it.
Yeah.
Like I am. Pros versus Joes, I was obsessed with that show.
Right.
Like that show is great to me because I'm one of those guys that's like, I'm pretty sure I could, and then the reality is get my ass kicked.
But the thing is, it's not like you going up against like Rakib Ismail in a foot race or a returning footballs competition. These aren't really athletes so much as they are just really jacked up bodybuilders.
Well, again, this is what reminds me about wrestling about it. They're jacked up bodybuilders, but they've got names and personas.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
So the kids watching it can say, yeah, I like that guy.
Yeah.
See, season 1, real quick, it was Nitro. It was Gemini
Nitro's
Malibu.
original name was going to be Evander.
Look at that.
Yeah.
They had awful names.
Yeah.
And then there was
Evander and
Gold.
that kid.
There was Gold,
Lace, and was it
Sunny?
Oh, Sunny. Wait,
Yeah.
she was because Blaze didn't hit until later.
Yeah, Sonny was injured, and then like when Malibu had his human cannonball accident, he was temporarily replaced with Bronco, who was terrible.
And then Bronco was phased out, and they brought in Turbo the next.
Yes,
Yeah.
indeed.
But Malibu was there from the beginning. And
Malibu was there from the beginning, but he was awful.
Oh yeah, you should. The greatest clip on YouTube, and I still contend this to this day, is the one where Malibu does the interview after he's quote unquote recovered from his human cannonball accident, I believe on the receiving end of a kick from Brian Hudson, the first winner of the American Gladiators competition, beating Lucian Anderson, which I believe was the first time I ever heard of a person named Lucian growing up.
Yeah, so this video is very easy to find. We'll put it up on our Twitter. We're at The Goods Pod, so you can find it. But in case you just want to go straight for it, the video is called Malibu Gets Owned. And it's just a million different shots of this dude getting kicked in the fucking face.
Yeah, because it was this game called Human Cannonball where basically
Worst idea.
Contender, everybody got injured. Lace got knocked out.
Well, one thing I wanted to say before you describe it, and this goes to the Human Cannonball events. One of the things the producers always talked about is that in the kind of everyman versus the Ubermensch sort of concept, a lot of these games were weighted towards the contestants.
Yeah.
And this is the best example of it where tell them what the fuck it is.
So your gladiator gets up on a pedestal that's
Like
about
7 feet max.
in
diameter.
In diameter, probably about 8 feet up over a crash pad at an elevation over the gladiator. So there's some room to kind of create a trajectory. The contender, which by the way, during the first season of American Gladiators, not standardized spandex. So you see some of the worst friggin' spandex you'll ever see in your entire life. Just mismatched teals and greens, just like real bad. Gets on a rope and does the Tarzan swing, and the only thing to protect the gladiator is one of those like
a tough
kick pad.
a kick pad that if you ever took like karate classes in a strip mall, you could recognize.
It's like a shitty mattress, like a tiny piece of a shitty mattress.
A shield and
A shield made of egg foam.
And in the first season, this was changed after the fact because all the gladiators got severely messed up. In the initial one, you could lead with your feet as opposed to your butt as a cannonball. So people were just getting kicked in the face.
You could extend your feet.
You could extend your feet.
And you weren't, like you used to be able to make contact and then kick.
Yeah.
Which is like such an extra piece of shit.
Yeah. And so the guy getting kicked, Darren McBee, and
talented actor.
Was he in Fleetwood Mac?
he is an actor.
They all are.
He's an actor, and when he first started American Gladiators, and I listened because I'm committed to this fucking show, I listened to a whole podcast of this guy, and when he was first tapped, they tried to give him the name Dominoes.
Because he avoided the Noid or something?
Well, in this case, the Noid kicked him in the fucking mouth.
The Noid is not a kick to the face.
But no, Dominoes, plural, which is the weirdest thing.
Was it a tie-in?
And he said, nah, man, Domino's is pizza. I'm Malibu. So Malibu was his own pitch, and they were like, okay, whatever.
That's a fitting pitch.
Yeah.
And it's better than Domino's.
He knew his brand.
He has a giant mop of
mall hair.
He's
radioactive orange.
Yes, he looks
with a beautiful horse mouth.
He looks not dissimilar from Patrick Swayze as Bodhi in Point Break.
I'm sorry if Malibu's listening. I'm sorry for describing you like this. He looks like Joe Camel in a poison wig.
He looks like if you hit Patrick Swayze with gamma rays.
And he hulked up. But anyway, so he's
a great actor.
Yeah.
Like I've seen him in a lot of things where he's good.
Yeah.
Like he's actually pretty good. He's probably living in Hollywood.
He's
out of a fucking
what is he
van.
in specifically?
So he actually said this in the interview. Is like he's like, yeah, I'm a working actor.
I do Shakespeare in the park.
No, like he's like in all these bit parts and stuff. I actually, when he said this, I went, holy shit. He was one of Two-Face's goons in Batman Forever.
Yes, he was.
Yeah, and so he got. I mean, look, the accomplishments of this man are incredible because he not only did he get kicked in the face, he also got to job out to Batman.
So he gets
cool.
beat up by all kinds of people.
By some
This
schlub,
right here,
and Batman.
Yeah, everybody's beating
This
up.
right here is his best.
Yes, that's
wink,
right.
wink acting performance.
Yeah, so back to the what we were talking about. Yeah, look this up on YouTube or find us on Twitter. Malibu gets owned. He gets kicked in the face by a guy and falls into this crash pad in a way that it looks like he died.
Yeah.
He falls directly onto his head. Essentially, So we'll
You know he didn't have insurance.
Oh my God, no!
You know, like none of this.
I'm going to tell you about the lawsuit. He not only did not have insurance, he barely got paid for this.
Yeah.
So, and it's funny because he's got that crash pad, which essentially looks like
It's way smaller than I remember.
It's really small. It looks like
it's a magazine.
Yeah. This was in the intro of American Gladiators.
Yeah, so he gets owned real fucking hard, and then look how he falls, man. He falls
Head first.
like
Yeah.
I mean, right onto in between his shoulder blades. If you watch it, it's fucking crazy. The injury is crazy. But what's even crazier is when he comes back to American Gladiators, he got treatment for a concussion. He comes back to American Gladiators, and now he's cutting a damn promo.
And his treatment was unconventional, to say the least, based on his description.
I love this so much. Here we go.
Hey, Malibu, after you got drilled by that human cannonball, I thought, hey, there is no way this guy is going to live to play another day. You're alive. You're well. What happened? Did you go to the hospital? Did you get x-rays?
Well, dude, it's like this. I saw this guy coming, and I took the most excellent hit of my life. The next thing I knew, I was on the beach, taking in some cosmic rays, getting healed by Mother Nature, taking a little brewski, holding on a beautiful babe, and I'm fine today.
So no hospital, no doctors, just Mother Nature, huh?
Oh, I'm a child of Mother Nature. What do you expect?
Malibu, you are truly amazing. He took a licking, and he is still ticking.
Oh, man, that's holistic medicine at its
He
best.
sounds like a Ninja Turtle. He sounds like Raphael or Michelangelo.
Okay, but here's the thing. You guys are tearing him apart for being of his time.
No, I'm not.
I think
I'm celebrating the man.
I miss the days when this was held up as the coolest thing in America.
This is a celebration. It's amazing when he takes off his sunglasses. It kind of looks like he doesn't have eyes.
Yeah, he's got very deep set eyes.
Yeah. So it's just like almost like the sunglasses were his eyes.
It's another pair of sunglasses like an airplane.
Yeah, the tanning sunglasses, the little ones. Yeah, and by the way, his ensemble was incredible. He's got the spandex, but
half shirt, right?
He's got a half shirt, which is a period that not a lot of people. So the thing that I've noticed, if you walk down the streets in Los Angeles, particularly if you get down to Melrose and Fairfax, all the cool kids are dressing like the 90s now. It's kind of coming back into style. You know what hasn't fucking come back into style? Half shirts for men.
Yeah.
Which was very pervasive at this time. If you ever go back and watch
in college football?
Yeah. College football. If you go back,
sweatshirts cut up to the
or Chris Zorich wearing a halter top as his jersey.
Or if you're not a sports guy, if you ever watch the movie Airheads, Adam Sandler's wearing a half shirt the whole time. Like, it was pervasive at this time. And Malibu's got a half shirt.
Geometric shapes all over it.
He's got some kicking abs from surfing, presumably.
Because he's a child of Mother Nature.
Yeah, so now I'm putting it to you, Fairfax Village. If you really want to fucking bring the 90s back, you don't just need printed shirts and fucking weird geometrics and neon. Get a half shirt. I fucking dare you. Bring the 90s back for real if you're going to do it.
That's funny because they want to bring back the 90s without working out.
Yeah, that's right.
They're like, I want to wear the fashions of the people that exercise.
Oh no, I want. That's part of the. That's part of my desire to have this come back. It's just to see people with gut skis walking down Fairfax with a half shirt, a Nike Air, and bow nose half shirt.
Go all out, man. Equipment. Go all out. Do some Diana Ball steroids. Get a Levi's 501 button your fly T-shirt.
You know what's nuts? Did you ever think about how around that time, the two competing sportswear companies that were like shut up out of nowhere were Bum Equipment and Champion.
Yeah.
Those are the two logos that you had to get.
Right.
Bum Equipment became a punchline and died. Champion is just now like shit you can get at Costco for dad sweatshirt.
But now you can also get it at Bloomingdale's. They have a special Champion Athletic that's fashion Champion.
Because the fucking Nike, the 90s are coming back.
Yeah.
Champion, I thought, cornered the market on that kind of we'll print up your shirts, your school's team sweater shit like that.
We need starter jackets to come back.
Oh,
yeah.
Dude.
Oh, yeah. I'm sure that's on the way.
I almost drowned because of a starter jacket.
What happened?
I was walking across a frozen pond, and we, like you do in New England, and we fell through. And I was wearing my big, fat starter Green Bay Packers jacket, which is like you're basically wearing the opposite of a life vest.
Yeah, of
you're
course.
like wearing a weight vest for pull-ups at that point.
Oh my God.
In time. And if I was a little bit deeper into the water, I would have drowned.
See,
but I was my feet touched the ground.
When you started that story, I thought you were when you said I almost died, I thought you were going to say we were walking through a pond and then somebody tried to beat my ass for my starter jacket and threw me through the ice.
I had a great...
a little bit more wholesome than I thought.
A dope. It was a black starter jacket. It was Packers starter jacket, so black with a green and yellow stripe across it.
Yeah.
And the back was just the big G.
Right.
And it looked awesome.
I had a Notre Dame Fighting Irish one, and I looked like the baddest kid in Southie.
I remember
that.
I remember that the blue.
It's navy blue with the gold
and the white. Yep.
Get out of here.
I remember plenty of dudes that had that one.
Yeah.
I loved me a starter jacket.
Oh yeah. I'm more of a chalk line jacket guy, but it's cool.
But all that shit is coming back now, but anyway, yeah.
But we should get this show back.
Then. Yeah.
Hey man, yeah. Well, they'd have to. All right. So one of the things I read on Wikipedia is that after the reboot failed, there was still, as of 2014, somebody was just like, we got to bring it back. But they wanted to bring it all the way back to the original concept of the first season and make it sort of like a post-apocalyptic, Roman sort of thing. And I was like, you don't need to dress this up that much.
Well, you need red, white, and blue spandex and pugil sticks, and that's all you need.
It ain't that
They were going to make in 2009, the project that was being floated around was an American Gladiators movie, which would have been amazing.
Would have been what, like The Running Man or something?
I don't know.
What the hell would it?
Who knows?
Yeah.
Who knows? It's American Gladiators. I'd go see it. American Gladiators had great contenders and some great gladiators. So should we go contenders or gladiators?
Gladiators. Here's the thing. I don't think people are going to be that invested in the contenders.
They can be. They can be because I got my list.
One of them, Steve Urkel, for Christ's sake.
And Carl Winslow.
Yeah. The Bone Crusher.
Over the death of the stick bug.
Yeah. But who was your... So I said... Gemini.
Diamond,
my man. Diamond was great.
Diamond, for several reasons. Number one, she went all in with her fake tits. All in. She was on a season, and she was just like this delicate British hot chick. And then out of nowhere, she just shows up with these big fake tits the next season, and it's just like, let's do this.
Technically, that does not make her an American gladiator, by the way.
And that gave me a very special awakening.
Oh yeah,
where
sure.
I was just like, that was my first awakening into the idea of just dominance. Of being like, I want this girl to beat the shit out of me. Where did this come from? That's a new thing. I am 11. How is this? I thought it was just I like pretty girls. Now I want this one to beat the shit out of me.
Hit my butt with the big with the big
I want to
Q-tip.
break through, and I want you to conquer me.
So my favorite female gladiator was Lace.
Well, I mean,
Lace was
posed in Playboy.
Lace was the thing with Lace was that she had a dance called the Lace, which
where did
not
she
many
come up with
originally
the
named?
I know, and she wore the lace stockings, which was a nice touch with the but she was also tough. See, she was this. I remember her and Blaze being the two smallest gladiators, but Blaze had more of a musculature.
Yeah, Lace was like a fitness instructor.
Yeah, but her thing was that she was tough. Like, she would take the most punishment and be the one that, like...
she sucked.
Well, she would be... No, if she, it was, like, kind of a thing where it was, like, breakthrough or something like that. She would just, like, fling her... She had no fear whatsoever.
Yeah.
Like, what she lacked in athletics or bodybuilding ability or whatever, or, like, the fact that, like, she wasn't like Sky, who was 6'3".
She had heart.
Yeah, she basically would throw herself and just had a death wish.
And in talking about female gladiators, a couple of fantastic female gladiators, we could talk about Siren, who was deaf.
Yeah,
you got a cut scene about her every second episode.
Yeah,
they talked about how she was deaf.
And Storm would always give her kind of the signs. And Storm was awesome too.
Storm was great, but also I loved Zap. Because Zap might as well have been pulled off the back of a Harley and just thrown right onto this show. She looked like such an like a badass biker's old lady that was just the toughest woman in the world.
Yeah, Zap looked like she could just beat the hell out of all the male gladiators.
Side note, for the July 13th mint on card, our flyer is a Zap American Gladiator action figure.
Oh, nice.
Okay.
Nice.
Yeah, because we match up. Here's how in sync we are. Our flyers are always matched up to a holiday of the month. Something happening of the month.
Yeah, yeah.
And so for America, we decided to do an American Gladiators toy.
Yeah.
So we have a Zap action figure.
Did you have any of the action figures back in the day?
I sure did.
I did not. Unfortunately,
I had the Joust playset, and then I also
the playsets too.
Wow, the Joust playset.
Hell yeah!
Got it at the I got it at the Christmas tree shops.
Okay, yeah.
Coast, it's an East Coast like second run stuff.
Did you get it at the one in Route 1 in Saugus?
No, I got it on the Cape, right when you cross over, when you cross the bridge to the Cape.
Okay, yeah,
right there. That big Christmas tree.
Wow.
I did not have any of the action figures. I did have the terrible NES game.
I was going to bring
that game
up.
was so bad.
It's bad. It's really bad. They had a contest for that Nintendo Power where you could go and watch an episode be filmed. That was the prize. What a shit prize that would have been.
Big
But you could do
spenders.
that for free.
Yeah,
I guess
know.
they paid your plane ticket to
Big spenders at Nintendo.
Right. Can I bum you guys out about the toys and the games real quick?
Go for it.
Okay, so according to Danny Nitro Clark's book, that book is called Gladiator, a true story of roids, rage, and redemption. He
found Christ, didn't he?
Oh, they all did. Malibu is very, very Jesus-y. But then he's also...
Dude, he's like the one who saved us, man.
It's like that God, it's like he loved the world
He would be the most amazing youth pastor where he just like walks in.
He kind of already is
takes
one.
his sunglasses off and he's just like...
he takes the sunglasses off and then the other pair of sunglasses off.
Hey, man, I was redeemed by the sun. Brewski, beautiful babe. I thought that could cure me. Until I found the man upstairs, JC.
The other son.
Yeah.
I went from the son to the
ultimate
son of God,
gladiator.
man.
He's like, I'm concussing for Christ.
It's like one day the Holy Spirit just kicked me in the face.
And I felt fine. Sweet.
So yeah, Roy's Raids.
It's funny too because ancient gladiators used to kill Christians, and American gladiators become Christians.
Yeah. they're sort of like Constantine. So Royd's Rage and Redemption. He and several of the original Gladiators were not seeing a nickel from the many licensed items like toys, NES games, and apparel that were making a mint for the Golden Company. Because the first season, they'd signed all their rights away to their own likenesses because they were all essentially either just bodybuilders or actors or
what a
wannabe
dumb
pro
idea
athletes.
if that's what you are.
Yeah. Well, and so they were just like, they were taking the check. And according to, when I listened to Nitro's podcast, I think for each episode, they made like $800 in the episode.
Well, don't forget, we talked about the cheap budget it was done on. And, when you've got cardboard cutouts in the stands.
Right.
You might not be thinking the show was going to be a long-term moneymaker
Halloween
for you.
Spirit, executioner outfit as your original.
Right.
They spent all the money on getting Joe Theismann.
You might just take the money now and not worry about the royalties initially.
I'm not talking about the first season. I'm saying they held
in perpetuity.
They held them to these contracts. So what happened was when they got hired, Goldwyn wouldn't renegotiate with the contract, right? So they all went on strike, and eventually everybody just got replaced. That's why the ratings started falling towards the end, is because they replaced everybody.
I always thought here's a fun thing though, like when watching all these events and stuff. Some events you were just like, okay, this makes sense. And other events you're like, what the fuck? Who came up with this? And there's one thing in particular that's just the most nightmarish thing. And that's the one part of the Eliminator where you had to run through like tissue paper.
Oh no.
And then there either was nothing or a man about to murder you.
Tell people what the Eliminator was.
Okay, the Eliminator was the finale of the show.
Yeah.
And if you were in the lead, you got a head start, seconds to how many points?
Yeah, it was 1 point was a half a second.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you'd get, and it was like you run up a treadmill, then you use a hand bike, and then you cross a balance beam while gladiators throw medicine balls at you. And then, and this is general.
It would change. There was like the spinning cylinder or the ropes.
Something balancy.
Each season they would add new
It's
obstacles.
like running, and then hand and grip strength, and then balance and speed, and then cargo net always, and then just a rest
zip line
when you zip line down there to land, and then it's like a jumping or scaling something, and then it becomes pick a lane. And this, to me, even as a kid, I'm watching this thing. Everything I watch is insane. I'm a child. I'm watching Rambo cartoons, for Christ's sake.
Yeah.
But
Force of freedom.
This thing has stuck with me forever because if you pick the wrong lane, someone will kill you.
Yeah.
There's no getting around it. It's a man just ready to fuck you up.
Yeah.
As soon as you cross through.
Just body check you, right?
Yeah. And I'll remember the smartest one, and it was Billy, dove high.
Yeah.
And
Billy
jumped
Worth
over Gemini.
Yeah.
And then rolled and kept going. It is unbelievable.
Which angered Gemini.
Yes, he did not like the fact
He did not like that
a man scaled him.
But there
vaulted over him.
He was half pissed.
Well, here's the thing that was crazy is that they would always gimmick it where one contender would get one option, but sometimes it would have two gladiators, and there was you had no choice. You were going to get, it's just a matter of which gladiator you're getting, and you were hoping that you were going to get Laser and not Tower. You know?
Oh, Tower, man. That guy was big. Yeah. That makes sense. Hey, that one gladiator was big. You remember the one gladiator that was a really big guy?
That's why they called him Tower.
Yeah, he was like 6'8".
Imagine having to fight him in the conquer circle.
Yeah.
God damn it.
Yeah, there was what was the best and the worst American Gladiators event?
I'd say I think Human Cannonball was the worst. Because it was not an athletic thing. It wasn't athletic. It was just your body becomes a weapon and it is thrown at a
can
guy.
you wax this fucking idiot on a post?
What it really comes down to is how's this guy's ankles?
Yeah.
That's all it really is.
Yeah. Can he stop you with a ergonomic pillow?
And the other one, the most enjoyable to watch, while not the best display of athleticism at all, has to be Assault.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's the one with the cannons.
The pistol, the cannons, the grenades.
The crossbow.
Yep.
And the hand grenades at the end.
And the tennis ball cannons, of course. Yeah. Not real hand grenades, though. Tell
well, it was tennis balls. Or like mini Nerf footballs, essentially. And what it was you had a gladiator with a big tennis ball cannon that was shooting tennis balls at you at a very high speed, and you had to run from station to station, and you'd have your little Nerf gun, and you would try and hit a target over the Gladiator, who's blasting an endless supply of
30 miles. No, it was not endless.
Well, yeah, it was limited.
There were many scenes where they ran out of bullets.
Yeah. Siren was always like very happy with shooting early.
Yeah.
And then later on, she'd have 3 tennis balls left, and she'd be like, crap.
Gotta conserve your ammunition.
Sky's just like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
Save them. Just signing off to the side.
Right.
Now, Ice, she was holding them.
Yeah.
But there were some that were absolutely, like, every time Zap would pick someone, she'd just turn and, like,
flex
her giant arm.
Yeah.
Well, and that was always the one to me that just looked like all I could think about was like, I want a tennis ball cannon.
Yeah, I want to do this.
I think every kid saw that and was just like,
I want to shoot 130-mile-an-hour tennis balls at my friends.
Yeah, fuck yeah. Oh, man, I would hang out in the bushes, wait for somebody to ride by on the bike, and then just fucking wax them with them.
Have y'all ever used a tennis ball cannon?
No, have you?
Yeah.
Yeah?
He was a gladiator.
Actually, y'all could use it too.
He was good night.
That's true. But I mean, I'm talking about even you could use it because it was in Massachusetts. Have you ever heard of a place called Starland? I think it was in Hanover, Massachusetts on Route 53.
No.
They used to have a thing there that was, it was a tennis ball cannon, and you would fire it at this armored vehicle that would drive around.
Yeah, we had one of those at Millbury Amusement Center.
Okay.
You weren't firing it at
No, you weren't firing it at cops.
Yeah, I mean that's what you'd want.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, no, but I mean, it's hard to get a portable tennis ball cannon like that.
I loved the ones where it was like Powerball.
The wall was.
I didn't
boring
care
to
for that
watch,
one,
but it was
unless-
on. But it's good to like test people's ability and their ability.
And then there was the scary factor where it's just like, you have the head start, and then them gladiators are going to come after
some
you.
motherfucker
And you're going to have Elektra going after you. Elektra was the wall expert.
and Sky.
In Sky too, but Elektra was better at climbing the wall. Like she was like 5'10"-ish. Sky's taller than I am,
There was a guy on the reboot that was so good at climbing the wall that he was more than halfway there by the time the Gladiator was ready to go.
Right.
And he was so good at it that he became the Gladiator for season 2.
Yeah,
He was like the winner. But then he was
okay.
like useless because all he could do was climb.
Yeah.
It was wasn't he like a Chinese guy?
No, he was a little white Denver looking climbing guy. Now here's the thing.
Denver looking, he was just smoking weed the whole
Now
time.
the one where they hung upside down on the track.
Skytrack, I think it was.
That I was like, this doesn't seem good to me.
Yeah. The rings was,
That I think was the best. The purest form of athletic skill. Was the getting by the rings and holding on. Because have you ever done like the rings before?
Look at me, no,
fucking impossible.
Oh yeah, it's really tough.
Like swinging on rings.
Yeah,
is so goddamn hard.
Oh, they've got the ring course down there in Santa Monica, and one of my favorite things to do is just because I would never even attempt it because I know myself, I know what I look like. But the funniest shit to do is just kind of stand there and watch people next to the Santa Monica Pier attempt to do that rings course, and they, if they're lucky, get to like the third ring and then they tire out and just fall.
It's so brutal. Diamond was the expert.
Yeah, Diamond was great at it, and Elektra was great at it, and Sky was great. Or if you were going up against a guy, you don't want to go up against Tower.
Who do y'all think was the best all-around gladiator?
I might say Zap for the ladies.
For the ladies, I would say
Zap was really dominant.
Zap,
super strong.
Zap,
Maybe
Storm.
Blaze.
Storm was pretty awesome. Like she was like a good all-around athlete.
Yeah.
And for the guys, I'd have to say Gemini.
It might be Gemini.
Yeah, Gemini was awesome because his taunt was just like punch downward, and like real quick, like a subtle flex.
Or maybe Turbo.
Turbo was pretty tight. Yeah.
Turbo came in as like a very like.
Well, I feel like Nitro kind of became the star a little bit.
He was the villain of the show.
Yeah,
right, but he was also the one that is just in it the most.
Yeah.
I think you just saw him. I was a casual watcher of it. I was never hardcore, but I just, if you were just alive in the early 90s, this show entered your brain via osmosis.
It was the Saved by the Bell of sporting shows.
Yeah,
it really was
fucking perfect. Exactly.
It was really big for a while there.
The zeitgeist would not let you escape.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And Nitro was like the name that I was.
Well, Nitro was the heel.
Yeah.
And he was also like a good looking guy.
He was
like
tiny,
he was
too.
like
he was a little guy.
He was jacked and he was a good looking guy because like I love Gemini, but Gemini has that receding hairline, and he wore the goofy like headbands.
Yeah, he looked like he was in just like some kind of Sade video.
Yeah, like he looked like your Pop Warner coach or something like that.
He looks like the dad in the Dance with Somebody video.
Yeah, Nitro had like the cheekbones for success. He was like the guy he was like the villain, but he also had like the cheekbones.
Yeah.
Kind of like a Jose Canseco kind of bad boy thing to him.
He's a cool heel. Yeah. So I wanted to just ask you guys if you remember this. We talk about like how the show starts kind of ballooning in popularity and everything like that. So in the early 90s, American Gladiators goes on a 150 city tour in which they pit the gladiators of the show during a season in which they're not filming against random local PE coaches and whiskey brave drunks from the bar. Did you remember?
I do not remember that.
Okay,
I would have begged.
I would have begged to
see that at the Worcester Centrum.
I was just like kind of thinking 150 because that was what the book said. 150 cities. I figured like
you're making it to Wichita.
That seems like every city. Like it's like everything you could call a city, right?
150 cities is a lot of episodes too.
Well, no, they weren't filming episodes. This was like
these were dark matches.
These were dark matches.
These are house shows.
Yeah, 150
So those guys, the regular gladiators, took part in this tour?
Yeah, and 150 opportunities for injury.
That's what I'm thinking. 150 opportunities for injury for what? It's not even going to be on TV.
Here's the thing. I think that was probably how they were making the most of their money.
That's what I'm thinking.
Yeah.
The reason they agreed to it is because they probably weren't making shit. We know they weren't making shit off the toys, and we know they weren't making shit on the TV show. So that's probably.
So it's like when a band goes on tour because they make more money that way.
It's like when Simon Cowell sends all the American Idol people on tour, like, "Oh, you lost, but you can still make a little money. Dance, motherfucker."
So, I wanted to address a couple of the contenders, the great contenders.
Well, that ties in perfectly because you've got these random local idiots going up against.
So there were times where they would get legitimate athletes, like people that had legitimate athletic backgrounds up against these bodybuilders, and they would get trashed. Like the bodybuilders would get. So there was this one woman named Peg Odetta who won it, like was the grand champion one season, and she was like a heptathlete. She was like almost Olympic level heptathlete, and she just smoked everybody. There was there was a few that I remembered. So there was for you wrestling fans, there was Rico Constantino, who wrestled in the WWE as Rico. He was like considered to be the king of the American Gladiators, contestants. Yeah, he was supposed to be just like a guy that they almost made him a gladiator. And that's like that was like a big thing for the contenders. Yeah. But we talked about Billy Worth, but there are two.
They made him a gladiator because he won a lot.
He won a lot, and he was pretty jacked. I mean, he was like he was a bodyguard by training. He was like a cop bodyguard.
Yeah, he stabbed Gemini.
You thought Billy Worth was thorn in his side. But the two that I wanted to stress, one is I'm going to stress for his abilities, and the other one I'm going to stress for his lack of abilities. The one that I wanted to stress for his abilities was Mark Ortega.
Yeah, he had a mustache, right?
No, he didn't have a mustache. I think you were talking, God, I forget his name. There was a mustache, Lucian Anderson or something like that. But Mark Ortega was the grand champion of season 3, I believe, and he had the most epic he was part of the most epic close sporting event that I'd seen in my young life, and that included Kirk Gibson hitting that walk-off home run. You look up Mark Ortega Eliminator, because he went up, this was the finals for the grand champion of season 3. He went up against this guy named Joseph Bam Bam Morrow. Joseph Bam Bam Morrow, great athlete, amazing mullet. Probably one of the best mullets you'll ever see. Mark Ortega had a disadvantage. He was, I think, 3 seconds. He had the 3-second head start against him. Bam Bam Morrow looks like Chris Jericho. Mark Ortega
looks like AC Slater.
And we just kind of...
We have not even mentioned the fact that, like, presiding over all of this is the most maligned character in WWE history, Mike Adamle.
Jeff Harvey.
Mike Adamle and Larry Zonka, one of the greatest color teams in the history
of sports.
And sports entertainment.
Okay, yeah, so the thing was that Bam Bam had a messed up elbow. So
it looks real swollen there.
Yeah.
If he wins $80. He's a grand champion.
$80
No, this is like probably like $1,500 in a Pontiac Fiero. So Bam Bam gets a slow start, and Mark Ortega gets caught up on the treadmill, and this guy has to fight in order to win, basically. And these are two peak athletes.
I would just start shaking the shit out of the out of the cargo net until the other guy falls down.
So the zip line is the point where everything goes crazy. Bam Bam has a huge lead. He has to climb a wall. He misses. He doesn't go for the rope.
He
can't go over.
He's got a bad
elbow. He's tripping. He can't do the wall, and Mark Ortega is right behind him. And Mark Ortega, boom!
Oh my God! He lands in a rollover.
He does it in a heap by one hand. Reaching out, rolls over, hits the tape,
tumbles through it.
We all like the internet, right? He did a barrel roll.
Yeah, he did.
He literally did a barrel roll.
And so, Mark Ortega from behind wins the championship.
And Bam Bam gets a fucked up elbow and nothing.
Yeah, his family rushes the eliminator. All 80 members of his family. And Mark Ortega,
the head of Samuel Goldwyn Company, ritualistically eats his firstborn.
I know, and it's like, and Ortega, like, basically comes from behind, gets this freak victory, and he's the first athlete I've ever seen thank God. He might have been the first ever athlete to thank God in a victory speech.
First time. No God ever brought up.
Yeah. So Mark Ortega.
God, by the way, huge American Gladiators.
Yeah.
Well, clearly.
Go back to bed, America. Your government is in control again. Here's American Gladiators. Watch this. Shut up. Go back to bed, America. Here's American Gladiators.
The one contender that they would just bring back because he was so bad but so hilarious. He's a man by the name, and he has the greatest name ever, Purple Roundy.
Are you sure you're not just talking about Malibu's eye after he got rocked?
Purple Roundy from Phoenix, Arizona. Occupation, usually you have firefighters or cops or military or PE. Demolition derby driver.
Hell to the yeah.
My friends call me Sparky.
Look up Purple Roundy because this guy is amazing. Purple Roundy.
Oh my God. We're going to put this on our Twitter. Holy shit. Oh my God.
This guy was like Ichabod Crane thin.
Oh, what the fuck?
He basically looks like if Rick Rude didn't work out or eat for like 2 months. That's what Purple Roundy looks like.
This man has said the phrase, "Don't rowl me," at least twice every day for his entire life since he started drinking at age 12.
This guy looks like somebody that uses Get Her Done on a very regular basis in conversation.
He's got a mustache. He's got a perm.
A perm mullet.
He's got a perm mullet. His cheekbones, you could chop cheese with them.
That's a dangerous dude.
I mean, he's like 6'3", maybe 170 pounds soaking wet.
Yeah.
Like he
should fight bodybuilders.
Yeah, and he would just get demolished.
His best sport, by the way, is King of the Porch, where you're just trying to throw people off the porch of your trailer. That's his best sport.
You know what's great, though, is that budget-wise, they had to keep calling him in.
Yeah, exactly.
From Phoenix.
No, like Purple Roundy literally had like in one episode like 2 points at the end.
Also, he was the guy that lived near the studio, so he was always the stand-in.
Yeah, he would always. I think it became a joke where they were just like
Freddie Boom Boom Cannon was always on Bandstand because he lived near the studio.
Yeah. Like I think there was just a thing where like people that would watch the show were just like, "Hey, could you bring back this Purple Roundy guy?"
So Purple Roundy was just a guy that was just hiding in the stalls of the bathrooms of Universal.
He was the janitor.
I mean, it's just like, I'm the janitor. No, you need a more dangerous job. How about I'm a demolition derby driver?
I was going to say, he looks like Richard Petty on meth.
Like Purple Roundy's
Methy Petty.
I mean, Purple Roundy's amazing, and the thing is that there was a thing online where people were actually trying to seek out Purple Roundy because he became one of those things where it was just
he's obviously in witness protection because of his association with the Dixie Mafia.
Here's the thing: with a name like he sounds like the name of like a third-year Negro Leagues player. Purple Roundy.
Yeah. He's one of the people that was caught up with Shoeless Joe Jackson and throwing the World Series.
Pumpsy Green.
Yeah. It was like Cool Papa Bell hit his 50th home run off of Purple Roundy.
Yeah.
You know? But no, Purple Roundy, it was just like people, he was like basically amongst people was like a fever dream.
I am gonna, this is a long shot. This is a real long shot. I'm gonna throw this up on our Twitter. Pat's birthday is this week. My birthday is next week. If you want to get us both a birthday present, somebody paint this guy on velvet for us, because I want this.
A velvet Purple Roundy.
A velvet Purple Roundy in my bathroom is pretty much an I can
Hey, and if you can find Purple Roundy, I love Purple Roundy because the thing about Purple Roundy
he's
was
from Phoenix. We'll go interview him.
The thing about Purple was that Purple knew his limitations, right? Purple knew that he wasn't the best contender. He knew that he was just like
Purple.
He's just like, hey man, I'm trying my best.
So Purple is like the Mulkeys of American Gladiators.
He's trying to shoot threes in Powerball because he doesn't like it.
He's like the Mulkeys or like a Barry Horowitz or something, you know. But the thing was that Purple, and he'd always draw it back to the Demolition Derby driving. He's just like, man, I thought it was bad being in a '78 Plymouth at a fairground getting demolished. Nothing compared to Atmosphere.
He's going up against Plymouth. Oh shit! That's the car smashed.
Oh my god!
Yeah.
So we have to talk about this. All right. So right before American Gladiators becomes huge in 1986, a little restaurant opens up in Buena Park, California, called Medieval Times. Just a scant 9 years later, the producers of American Gladiators see the success of Medieval Times and realize that there is room, possibly, maybe, in the hearts of America, for a American Gladiators themed dinner theater. And so at Christmas 1995.
Right, let me say this. That sounds to me like a better idea than Medieval Times because horses shit. And so there's no stable smell mixed with food.
Yeah. So Christmas 1995, the residents of Kissimmee, Florida, were treated to a opening night performance
on Christmas.
Oh my god!
And the theater, by the way, held 1,600 people, and 1,300 showed up. So they had to get 300 pieces of wood to be the rest, obviously. Yeah. So Christmas '95 is when this opened in Kissimmee, Florida, at the Kissimmee Auditorium. Dinner and Gladiators was $39.95. Which
that's not bad.
In 1995 money, that's a lot.
Hold on,
yeah, but it's not enough. I would pay easily 150 bones to eat rubbery prime rib and watch American Gladiators live.
I mean, it's a bit expensive, but it's not too bad.
So you went to the fucking American Gladiators restaurant.
I did, but I did off season maybe. I went in April of 1998.
Okay.
It was already post Gladiator era.
I was gonna say Gladiators went off the air in '96.
Not only was I post Gladiator era, but I was post I shouldn't be going to Florida. I'm a junior in high school and I don't care about this anymore. So I went there and we saw that and my brother and I were like, we want to do this.
Yeah.
We want to go to this. Because he was, a freshman in college. I was a junior in high school. And like that sense of ironic detachment plus the love of nostalgia.
Yeah.
So we get there and it's just like a shitty buffet when we get there. That's all it was. Like there was no show. We were eating like in the arena area.
There was no show?
No, there was garbage.
Was it the same price for no show?
No, it was not the same price. It was cheaper.
So it's just a shitty buffet with a sign that says the Gladiators fought here once.
With Purple Roundy bringing out the new corn nuggets.
We might have been, we went there, it might have been like a brunch buffet.
All of this is insane though.
It is, and it occurs to me now that maybe my parents went for the low rent early day deal.
Yeah.
Instead of the night theater.
Right.
Yeah. That could have been how it is. Or
makes sense.
It's such a colossal failure that they were like, we can't pay Gladiators to do this bullshit.
Yeah.
We should just turn this into a shitty buffet with American Gladiator stuff around.
That was going to be one of my questions because I found an article from the Orlando Sentinel that told me when it opens, Christmas Eve, which is weird and sad, or Christmas Day, which is weird
because it's a miracle that it opened. That's why. But
I couldn't find any date for the dissolution of the restaurant's gone. But
still there.
Yo, that'd be crazy.
Scooby-Doo Ghost Town. Ghost.
I don't know. And I've been to Kissimmee a million times. I would not be surprised that in the middle of Seminole County, there's the American Gladiators dinner theater next to like a Montgomery Ward's that is just falling apart.
And then, another thing that no one knew was still around.
It's just like a really American Ponderosa steakhouse.
the last Montgomery Wards, the last Bennigans,
the last
American.
Quincy's,
and then a bunch of car washes owned by former football players.
But I was trying to find a hard date for when this place went out of business. 98 is longer than I thought because what's weird is they open right before, effectively 1996, 5 days before 1996. Let's call it 96. They started open in 96. That's the same year the damn show went off the air. So 98 is a way longer run than I even imagined.
Well, they also had the whack, like, American Gladiators International ones, like Global Gladiators, I think it was.
Oh, and I wanted to briefly hit on the kids spinoff, Gladiators 2000.
I want to see the same muscle-bound monsters destroy.
Have to fight children.
No, it'd be little Hercules.
Yes, he's doing everything.
They just have like a really big kid. I was really hoping that would be...
It's just 5th graders versus 8th graders.
Yeah. Well, but it was like about eating like eating the different food groups and not smoking.
Well, they added
eating lots of vegetables.
They added a trivia element to it. So American Gladiators is weird.
They made it Legends of the Hidden Temple.
Yeah, exactly. Gladiators 2000 is weird. It's like because when I first heard that there was a kids version, I didn't even remember this. I was like, wait, is it kids fighting Nitro? But no, it's like the kids get paired up with gladiators and they just basically run the non sort of like physical contact parts.
It's kids versus Purple Round.
Hey, get in my truck. We're gonna go down to the dirt lot so I can fight you.
It's kids versus Purple Roundy on the bus that he's driving them to school.
It's kids in the American Gladiator outfits, and Purple's just like, I'm gonna win. I'm gonna win. I'm gonna win. I'm gonna win.
Ass,
I'm gonna finally.
He's the Glass Joe of American Gladiator.
He's like, eliminated again. The damn eliminator.
Okay. So how many half seasons did that last?
This is fucking crazy. So weirdly, Ryan Seacrest, this was like his first job.
Oh, yeah.
Ryan Seacrest was 20 years old and he's like weirdly fat, and that he was the host of the show.
He was a Hardwick.
Yeah, perfect. Turns out, allegedly. But 1994 to 1996, this show ran for like 3 seasons. So it's they have all the they have some of the games. There's like the head-to-head competition, but none of the physicality. And then they occasionally will stop the action to have kids answer questions about how mouths work and hair follicles. It's really strange.
At the end of 2 events, the score is 85 to 85. But in just a few minutes, that can all change because up next, we've got our final event. It's the Eliminator, and you won't want to miss it. Stick around. Of the sweet land of liberty, of the outside, yeah!
Well, at the time the original Gladiators came on, there wasn't that kind of competitive game show TV shows like there was later on.
And also, people didn't work out as much functionally back then. It was all about bodybuilding and stuff.
The Arnold level of like people that can't wipe their own ass.
Yeah. And now, and like towards the latter ends, you'd get people on there that were like Army Rangers and like heptathletes or, firefighters. And these are people that like knew how to do all the like functional strength, and they would just smoke the gladiators.
When they did New Gladiators, you look and you had like Gina Carano, who was one of the best living Muay Thai fighters You
Great
had,
mixed martial artist. Yeah.
Helga, who was an Olympic power lifter. You had all these dominant.
You had what's his face? Matt Morgan from wrestling from TNA
as gladiators or
as a gladiator.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, he was Beast or something like that.
I did want to mention, by the way, that the theme song,
Bill Conti.
Yeah, Bill Conti, who did the Rocky theme song.
Well, he was sort of the expert at that kind of sports disco.
Yes.
No, he's 100%.
What a
right.
fucking perfect genre description.
No, when I started boxing, that was you have to listen to dance music when you train to fight.
Yeah, yeah.
And so my coach said, you have disco or you have techno. Those are your two options.
Okay.
And I went the electronic route, but disco is that's why the whole Rocky albums, those are disco albums.
Remember Rocky 3? He's training and it's Frank Stallone's band is playing the train, getting ready for the fight crap.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's disco music.
Knock me down.
But to answer your question, Jeff, you can buy the Gladiator soundtrack. It is weirdly available for both $14.99 and then weirdly jumps to like $50 in some cases.
Yeah, because people think that it's out of print.
Collector.
Who the fuck knows? But anyway, yeah, so some of the songs on here, this is actually kind of impressive considering they probably paid Queen way more fucking money to use We Will Rock You than they spent on all of the Gladiators combined.
Well, what
based on
year
the
was
lawsuit.
this? Because before
93.
Freddie Mercury died, his stock wasn't as big.
93. This was right when he died.
Okay.
So yeah.
But yeah, so they got Queen's We Will Rock You, Rock and Roll Part 2 by Gary Glitter. You got Tough Enough by the Fabulous Thunderbirds. Hit Me With Your Best Shot by Pat Benatar. Yeah, so there's some decent.
These are also all songs you got off of infomercials on TV shows.
And jock jams, too, for that matter.
But this is all you could buy this off of Time Life on an infomercial after Saturday Night Live.
Yeah, how do they license songs or something? Because they probably bought some cheap ones.
No, I thought it would be like whacker songs like Scatman John or something.
Scatman Crothers is going to be on there?
Yeah, just like something like just complete like Crystal Waters or like LaBouche.
Don't you ever insult Crystal Waters like that.
Well, she was on the Double Dragon soundtrack.
And she was cousins with Purple Roundy. Yeah. We're kind of coming in for a landing here, but we have to mention the kind of expanded universe of Gladiators because Gladiators was such an absolutely huge cultural force that it bled over into the larger pop culture. It couldn't be contained by the Gladiators arena in Hollywood.
As nothing could be in the 90s.
It had to leak out, and it leaked out in two very strange places. One of them, I wanted to mention the Ellen Show because if everybody remembers, there used to be a sitcom starring Ellen DeGeneres, and there was a plot line.
Jolie Fisher was in it as well.
Yeah, that's right, yeah. And I think it was called like Friends of Mine or Friends Like These or something like that.
And then it was just...
And then they changed it to Ellen, like in the Ellen DeGeneres show. I think
Laura Dern.
Yeah.
On the gay episode.
This one happened before the Yep, I'm Gay episode because the plot line of season 2, episode 19 of Ellen, the title of the episode is Gladiators. And in this episode, Ellen falls in love with Nitro. And
who wouldn't?
You mean Nitrous?
No, Nitro. And
I fell in love with Nitrous in college.
The plot point is that Ice is in love with Nitro, and she blocks Ellen. And there's a scene where Ellen catches them making out in the dressing room before Gladiator starts. And then the funniest shit is that Ice basically calls Ellen a loser, but she uses the wrong hand to make the L sign. And she's like, "You're a loser." And I was like, "You guys don't have a script supervisor over here on Ellen?
Wanted to
try that with the other hand, lady?" But yeah, so,
Ice,
Nitro,
ice cold.
Come on, Ice. But,
Nitro and Ice making out to the American Gladiators theme song.
Oh, be nice, Ice.
But yeah, I just want
to.
I just want to know there's a love triangle in this episode.
But I had to just touch on the Ellen. But I'm gonna more famously, Pat. Tell them what happened.
Well, as I surmise, I believe on the show Family Matters there was a gas leak that was in the writer's room because progressively throughout the show it got more and more insane.
The final season is the most insane.
Yeah, it's like they were. It turned into.
They thought it was a cartoon.
They started out as a African American sitcom. It turned into science fiction.
It was the Nutty
really
Professor.
quickly.
The last season was Nutty Professor.
And so they had an episode where Family Matters, amongst all shows, loved crossovers. They had one with wrestling, so they had the Bushwhackers on fighting the Psycho Twins.
They started with Full House?
Yeah. They had, no, they were on Perfect Strangers.
No, but they were also on Full House.
Oh, yeah, they were on Full House. They did the Disney episodes with Stefan, all that sort of stuff. But they had one episode in which Carl Winslow, and
AKA the Bone Crusher.
The Bone Crusher went up against Steve Urkel,
AKA the Hurricane.
Which is crap because nobody had nicknames. Only the Gladiators could have nicknames, okay? Yeah. Went against each other in American Gladiators over
crushed a stick bug.
He crushed a stick bug.
It was just a stupid bug.
Yeah.
At least there was no shrinking machine involved this time.
Yeah, nobody turned. Although it would be funny if they did the DNA swap like the Bruce Lee episodes, but like Urkel switched with like Nitro or whatever. But there was hilarity that ensued, and spoiler alert, they finished at the exact same time when they crossed the Eliminator.
Was it a photo finish like at the racetrack? They split the bet?
I think they just both came at the same time.
Side note.
Oh, that's good.
I would like to hit a little bit of a rewind here because I don't want to. I know we'd mentioned Malibu was in Batman Forever.
Yeah.
Before that, Diamond was in Batman Returns.
Oh.
No shit.
She was one of the Red Triangle gang.
Oh, okay. Was she the fat guy who ate the fish?
Can I hit an IMDb rewind too?
Yeah.
Because we have mentioned Family Matters a lot on this show. But did you know this? The lady who it spun off from, the one who was on Family Matters and the
was
show
on
with
Perfect
Balky.
Strangers.
Perfect Strangers, that's it. Do you know who she is?
I know on Perfect Strangers she was the elevator operator at the Chicago Tribune.
She was one of Dawn. You remember Tony Orlando and Dawn?
No shit. That's
wow.
That's
she was one of the two girls that sang with Tony Orlando and was on the variety show with him in the 70s. So she actually had a long career on TV.
And then, this is even weirder, became a gladiator. She was Turbo.
Tie a yellow ribbon around my pugil stick.
Yeah. And we're not, I don't even think we have the time, but
we never really talked about Joust.
And we hadn't talked about the reboot, which I don't even want to talk about.
Yeah, the reboot.
It was fine.
Yeah,
it was great.
Yeah.
No, don't say it was bad.
Well,
it's
it's not that it was bad. It's just that, Hulk Hogan.
It was peak Hogan. It was peak self-promotion. Like, I want to be relevant again.
You know, he mentions that in his book. He claims that he was suicidal, then Layla Ali called him and stopped him one night when he had a gun in his mouth.
I saw Layla Ali once. I met her at the Biggest Loser Ranch when I worked for that company.
Oh, the Gillette Ranch out in
Calabasas.
Yes.
And I saw her, and she was stunning.
Oh, Layla Ali?
Unbelievable looking.
Yeah.
Like in real, I mean, you see him in the real world.
Right.
But
Yeah,
I just wanted, I'm like, can I touch your skin? It looks so smooth and perfect.
Yeah. And then she shook your hand and crushed it.
I feel like I could do okay.
Talk about the Joust real quick.
The Joust was probably the most popular.
It was the iconic event.
The one that it was, because it was pugil sticks. It was these big giant Q-tip looking things, not Q-tips, pugil sticks, adapted by what the military uses, but longer and poofier. And your job was to get a gladiator off of.
Wait, the military uses?
Yes.
They use them in combat
for fighting.
Oh, I thought you were saying
to simulate fighting with a gun.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah.
I thought you were saying they charged into battle with the giant Q-tips. That'd be
no. But when
strike fear into the heart of ISIS.
In military combat, they would use those in training to simulate you holding your rifle as a weapon.
Yeah.
What you did is you had to knock them off after 20 seconds or something like that?
Yeah, 20, 25 seconds.
You had to knock them out, and if you were dominant, you could just hit them hard. But for the most part, it would just be people poking somebody in the face, trying to nudge them off.
That's not a bad strategy.
Yeah, and there would be people that would hug the platforms just to get because you get 10 points if you knock the gladiator off, and you get 5 or 3 points if you stayed for the entire time.
But if you they changed the rule where you had to stay on your feet.
And
at one point in time, Joust was one platform where you walked towards each other, and you had to either knock off the side or you could push someone back, and a fucking trap door would go off, and the person would fall to their death.
And Malibu would get massive injuries again and again and again.
It's called CTE, dude.
It's really funny how Malibu probably lived in East LA.
No, he's still around. Like I said, I heard a podcast with him.
No, but I mean at the time he called himself Malibu. And
no, actually,
kayfabe to the grave.
He was in Alhambra.
No, actually, I found out his entire history.
Jesus Christ!
I listened to an interview with the guy. So he was a professional racquetball player.
He sure was.
That's literally where they found him. He was
Imagine
a professional
being some little dork, some racquetball dork.
Yeah.
You show up to see this muscle-bound monster show up.
Yeah.
Joe Camel with
this incredible Hulk scarecrow.
Yeah.
Imagine being a racquetball purist and say you sold out when you became a gladiator.
His first acting gig was in Elvira, Mistress of the Dark. And he appeared on 13 episodes of American Gladiators.
What was his character? Stud Muffin or something? It'd probably be something like that.
But yeah, no. Anyway, yeah, I'll link to that podcast if anybody on Earth is interested.
Sweet.
So Malibu, Malibu, tell me what you gonna do. Malibu, Malibu, tell me what you gonna say. Malibu, Malibu, tell me what you gonna do. You got to do it. You got to appreciate Malibu, Malibu, tell me what you gonna do.
Jeff, where can people find you on the internet, sir?
You can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Hey There Jeffro, like Hey There Jeffro, Jeffro.
And if you want to hear the origins of Hey There Jeffro, listen to the previous Jeff May episode, Fight Night.
You can. I have a podcast network coming out. My Kickstarter is actually still live, but the show's going to be called That's Good Pod. It's going to be the network. So you can check that out as well. I have lots of shows coming out. I got Tom and Jeff Watch Batman, where me and Tom Ryman, formerly of Crack.com, just watch Batman.
Like Adam West to
we've done Batman, Batman Returns, Batman Forever, Batman and Robin. Then we're going to move to the new groups and then cartoons and TV. We're going to get everything.
So anything Batman.
Like old-timey 40s serials and shit.
Oh, yes. Yeah,
we're going to get everything out there. So and that's on Gamefully Unemployed. So I'm kind of everywhere right now.
Yeah, man.
Like it's weird. It's like I got my fingers in a lot of pies.
I usually say check out Jeff May, but in this case I'm going to say try to avoid him like a fucking tennis ball cannon. He's like coming at you.
It's like the bet you can't eat a chip from those old Chips Ahoy.
Chips Ahoy, yeah. I remember they had one with
stripes. They put stripes on.
Yeah, but they had what's his name from Thriller.
Michael Jackson.
No.
Vincent
Price. Bet you bite a chip.
That's your price of chip. I was Egghead in Batman.
Oh, he was.
But yeah, so I mean, find me. If you find me on Twitter and Instagram, you can find me to other.
And we'll obviously link to the podcast when it's out on our Twitter as well. And always.
I love doing the show. And,
we love having you.
I want to do more. I always want to do more. I feel like I cashed in mine, but I'm like, I like more stuff.
Oh yeah. We'll have you back.
Yeah, I'd love to come back.
People demand it, and you can find us on Facebook, facebook.com/thegoodspod. We're on Twitter @thegoodspod. Every episode ever, youtube.com/thegoodspod. Big shout out to our friend Richard Eden up there in the Klondike doing the hard work at thegoodspod.com.
And support live comedy.
And I'm on Twitter and Instagram at Luke F. Jensen.
Oh yeah, neighbor Luke's been here the whole time.
Can you edit that out?
He's been here for an entire month just hanging out after the 1999 episode. Do all that. And Pat, what should the folks do when they get to iTunes?
Rate, review, subscribe, tell a friend. It shows the attitude of gratitude.
And if you don't have the attitude of gratitude, then feck you.
And we'll see you next week.
We love you, Purple Roundy.
Freedom of the body, freedom of the mind, a hoe on South Street, a hired for tricks, little girls are picking up sticks. Looking
The Goods from the Woods was mixed, edited, and distributed by me, Rivers Langley. You can find the show on Twitter at The Goods Pod. Our theme song was composed by DJ Smiles. Check him out on Twitter at DJ Smiles.